And just to be super clear, Anurag is a product leader in an institution with 1 trillion assets under management. 3 of these institutions add up to more than the total cryptocurrency industry. And there are thousands of these institutions.
Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video breakdown. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up your seatbelts because today I have a couple of different video clips that are so monumental in proving that we are for a fact in the midst of a massive transformation of the traditional financial system over into this new blockchain, digital asset, crypto, tokenized native industry that is unfolding at such an unprecedented speed. And you're not going to want to miss a beat of today's video breakdown via the information that I have to share with you guys today. Probably one of the most bullish video compilations that I've ever made, showing, indefinite proof that this is all taking place. So with that being said, if you enjoy these video breakdowns, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Again, never pumping out bullish hopium or moon boy hype to you guys, trying to fixate on sparking up your dopamine, just really giving you all an in-depth perspective of the transformative wave of technology that we are currently living through and how digital assets and crypto are going to play such a massive role, and people are freaking sleeping on this opportunity because of the price fluctuations that we're currently experiencing in the market in the now, which are absolutely irrelevant and peanuts compared to what is about to come. And that is billions to trillions of dollars migrating onto public blockchains. So with that being said, without further ado, let's get started in today's video breakdown. Again, share this video. This video, if you stick around to the end of this, is going to absolutely blow your mind. Now, we are going to play some video clips that are going to take us some time to get through. So you are going to have some form of patience. But I wanted to share with you guys who it is we're going to be hearing from. So right off the bat, we're going to be listening to a gentleman named Robert Lishner. He is the CEO of a platform called Superstate. Now, Superstate, just to show you all that this gentleman has some credentials, is an industry council and a collective of top traditional and digital asset investment institutions that are committed to shaping Superstate's product roadmap and advancing the adoption of tokenization within traditional financial services and capital markets. So I just wanted to show you guys that they, this gentleman that we're going to be listening to right off the bat does have some valid credentials because he is the CEO of this organization, right? So with that being said, let's listen. I'm going to play 2 video clips from this gentleman right here, Robert Lishner. I put it on 1.25 speed so that way we can get through this a little bit faster than how I soaked up the information. But the first thing that he mentions is how large asset managers and financial institutions and a lot of banks and financial organizations on Wall Street are still stuck on the old traditional COBOL system. Then he goes on to mention how institutions are starting to gain interest in this digital asset ecosystem. And then we're going to be listening to the co-founder of Chainlink, Sergey, talk about how Chainlink is solving all these problems and how we are in the midst of moving from the old, outdated, decaying financial system, i.e. the old COBOL rails, over into this new digital infrastructure that Chainlink is a part of. And this is just going to freaking blow your mind. The fact that these videos that I'm going to share with you guys today have barely any views just goes to prove what it is that I'm attempting to show you all. And that's that nobody is freaking paying attention to this massive transformative wave that we are currently living through. So just take a second here. I'm going to play 2 video clips back to back. Listen to what he has to say.
Exactly. And so it's interesting to see like this, it does look like the push is happening. This push that you're describing is happening. And so when you think about how these things start to unfold, how the gap between traditional financial markets and blockchain technology unfolds, when does, right, or to what extent are most financial rails on a blockchain?
Eventually, I think a lot more, but it's going to take a long time. I don't want to be, pessimistic here, but it's not going to be next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think over the next couple years, we have an opportunity, especially with a backdrop of, positive pro-innovation legislation and regulation, that like tokenized assets will grow substantially, where they'll grow in the type, outside of just treasuries to like a variety of different products and asset classes. They'll grow in size, they'll grow in adoption, and we'll start to finally see an ecosystem of like infrastructure around them, ways to actually trade them, ways to borrow them, ways to do all these things that like Right now, you really can't. I think RWAs will be very positive, but like how long until all of finance moves onto a blockchain? It's like, man, Frank, that's gonna be so long in the future. like, migrating systems in general is hard. Half the banks on Wall Street still have like COBOL engineers to maintain systems that were like built in 1974. And like they still have some data on like a COBOL mainframe. It's like the pace of innovation and migration is really slow. And
so you heard that right now. I don't really believe into his pessimistic view that this is going to take decades. I think that this is happening behind the scenes, and it is going to take some more time. For example, probably not into next year, maybe heading into like 2026, 2027 timeframe as we inch closer to 2030. But this is for a fact happening. So I just wanted you all to hear him say that half the banks on Wall Street are still operating on these outdated COBOL systems that are from back in the 1970s. Because what I'm going to share with you guys, what Sergey shared on stage at CYPRX 2024 is just so phenomenal and goes to prove that the whole system is changing hands. Now listen quickly to what he says about how institutions are getting interested, and then we'll migrate over to Sergey.
And put in the full faith and credit the U.S. government.
Yeah, when I can just lend it to the U.S. government, for short amounts of time. Like this doesn't make sense anymore. And when interest rates inverted between DeFi and trad, that's one of the first major sort of like why nows. The second is that, when you're creating these products, they are, very obviously security products, right? If like you're tokenizing financial assets that are securities, like the tokenized form is also a security, right? This is a legal and regulatory perspective, but this makes it a challenge for a lot of folks. And the second major unlock in like the why now is that there started to become like an increasing comfort around institutional investors and their willingness to purchase new products. 100.0% of our customer base is institutional in nature. That's not necessarily true for all tokenized treasury products, but all of our clients are institutional. 3 years ago, none of them were really willing to do much on chain. And there started to become this willingness after years of crypto working, from a technological perspective and smart contracts working and all these things, there started to be build this institutional familiarity with custodians, with wallets, with like, being just accepting and open-minded towards like using crypto products. And
so I just wanted you all to hear him say, right, the infrastructure is being built out and has been built out over the past 3 years since the bear market started back in 2021 for these institutions to be comfortable onboarding into this digital asset space and this ecosystem, be comfortable with crypto native products. And that is all unfolding at such a rapid pace. Okay. So I just wanted to give you guys that bullish perspective, confirmation that institutions are for a fact interested. He even said that 100% of their clients are institutional investors. So I'm sure that he has insights that not a lot of people have access to. So you heard it first from him. Now, this is such a monumental video. We're going to play 3 video clips. Now, they are a little bit extensive and long, but so the gentleman before, Robert, he said that half the banks on Wall Street are still running on these COBOL systems. Then he mentioned that institutions are picking up interest. Well, now let me show you guys. This video is only from a day ago. Okay, there's millions of people that are invested into crypto, and there's billions of people on Earth. And listen to what he says here. This is why I stress the importance of educating yourself on DeFi, understanding that these financial institutions are going to want to earn yield on their digital assets. You're not going to want to sell your cryptocurrency for fiat to get stuck back in the traditional system. And it's why you should head over to CYPRXtrading.com and educate yourself on how to utilize your digital assets to start earning yield and get them working for you to earn passive income. Because after this next bull market cycle, the people that don't sell their digital assets and hold them for the long term and instead earn yield on them to accumulate more passive income and cash flow to then put that cash flow back into the digital asset ecosystem are going to be the ones that survive and thrive long term, not the ones that sell out because we saw Lemire 5 to 10x, because what's about to come on chain over the next coming years is so monumental. I'm telling you guys right now, you're going to want to learn DeFi. DeFi is the new wave. It is the future, and everybody in the future will be in some way, shape, or form that is invested in crypto or involved in crypto, utilizing DeFi in some way, shape, or form. So just take a second and listen to what Sergey says, confirming this transformative wave that we're living through and going from the old COBOL systems over to this new infrastructure that Chainlink 110% is a part of building. Take a second here and just listen. I'm going to play all these video clips back to back. It is going to be a little bit long, probably about 5 to maybe 6 minutes long of videos, but just listen in detail what he freaking says. This is, I mean, literally my jaw was dropping when I was listening to him speak because of how monumental this is. So just take a second here and listen.
The final goal that we want is all of these applications working with each other, agreeing on price, agreeing on how to transact value, agreeing on how the application operates and proves security to each other and counterparties over the Chainlink set of standards. That is our fundamental goal. That is what success looks like, to create the global standard that powers the Internet of Contracts and creates the economic boom that will come from the merging of these two worlds into this large global market. We've been making a lot of progress with the capital markets and TradFi community, in addition to the Web3 community. We have implementations on production for large asset managers. We have multiple collaborations with large financial market infrastructures, and we're in different stages of implementations with some of the biggest banks, financial market infrastructures, and asset managers. So just like we have already successfully as a community made Chainlink a global standard for the Web3 DeFi community, this year we've made a huge amount of progress towards being in the leadership position for creating that standard for the TradFi capital markets community. We've done this by providing a set of services, a set of individual services, data services, proof of reserves, identity, cross-chain, computational services, directly into contracts. But one of the things that we've learned along the way from providing all these services, and Chainlink provides the largest universe of services for all data, connectivity, and does it on a single platform in a way that no other system in the industry, in the blockchain industry, does today. What we've actually learned is that there needs to be a way to weave together all of these services, all of the different blockchains and smart contracts, all the different payment systems into a single unified application. If you look at the history of financial applications, you'll basically see that each economic boom in the financial system is created through the simplification of how to use new technologies. In the 70s, when the first databases appeared, you had the first successful runtime, which was COBOL, simplify interaction with databases, simplify interaction with the first computing systems, successfully creating the first electronic transactions, the first banking transactions in the 70s.
Half the banks on Wall Street still have like COBOL engineers to maintain systems that were like built in 1974.
This was done by creating a runtime technology. So a low-level computing technology that coordinates various other systems into a single application by running a single piece of code. That is what created the big economic boom from computing in the financial industry. It was COBOL and the COBOL runtime. Then new technologies emerged, new database technologies, the internet and internet protocols, various languages, and financial systems and financial applications had to evolve to interact with that new complexity, with the new databases, the new languages, and the internet. The Java runtime environment, the JRE, is what simplified that in the 90s. By simplifying that in the 90s, it gave rise to web application and online banking, just like COBOL gave rise to ATMs and in-person banking. So if you've ever used an ATM, or you've ever gone into a bank and spoken to a teller, at some point you were a user of COBOL code. And if you've ever done online banking or used a web-based payment system, at some point you were interacting with the Java runtime environment. This is the simple truth of the fundamental technologies that defined how the world worked for 20, 30 years. And this is actually the opportunity we have in front of us as all of the world's value migrates into this new blockchain format across hundreds of different chains and across thousands of different Oracle networks. The opportunity really comes along every 20 to 30 years. And it's about unifying all these separate systems into a single application and allowing developers and people building those financial applications not to do that in years or months, but in days and eventually hours. And even if we provide all the best services, all the best data services, all the best identity services, all the best connectivity services, that won't be enough. It'll be very good, and it's what's taken DeFi from sub 100 million to over 200 billion. It's already created its own little mini economic boom in the Web3 world, so we know that that works. The next challenge is how to make a much bigger boom by allowing developers to build applications that are very advanced, very quickly. That is the history of runtime environments and the history of how they have affected the financial system. This is why we're announcing that we are making the Chainlink runtime environment. The Chainlink runtime environment, the CRE.
So I just wanted you all to hear him say that they're building these new systems right now that are going to help migrate all the world's finances over into this new system. Next, just take a second here and listen again. This is a lengthy video. We're going to play from about 11 minutes to about 15 minutes, but just listen to what he says about how they're solving problems and how all of this is unfolding at a rapid pace. Take a second here and just listen.
This is the diagram for what we were saying we were going to build with Swift a year ago. This is a diagram of the second pilot, where essentially Swift messages and blockchain events become interchangeable, both for triggering blockchain events and for payments, basically making Swift systems extremely usable for interacting with blockchains as an interface and as a payment resource. So that's a very complicated problem, and it's a problem that we've been working on for years, and it's very complicated to solve. But when we applied the CRE to solving the problem, we were able to solve it much faster with a fraction of the technical resources by writing a single piece of Go code that coordinated the SWIFT network against multiple blockchains. And the speed and quality at which we were able to do this was, for me personally, quite shocking. Because for the 7+ years I've been working on getting SWIFT messages to interact properly with different blockchains, it's a complicated process. And the CRE made it genuinely simple so that a small amount of engineering resources could coordinate one complicated system with multiple other blockchains. The flow that we demonstrated last week in Sybos to the financial community, which was extremely well received, was the ability for SWIFT messages to coordinate an agreement, for that coordinated agreement to then result in an on-chain event in the form of locking an asset in the anticipation of a payment, that locking of an asset to trigger a payment flow within the SWIFT network, so a real payment transaction would happen, and that payment transaction using SWIFT messages could then be converted to a blockchain event, and using actual SWIFT messages in the formatting that they use, and then that blockchain event would unlock the asset on the first chain and transfer it across chains to the other chains. So this is much more real than things have ever been with the interaction of blockchains and a very complex system like SWIFT. And the Go code that operates this was written by a handful of engineers pretty quickly. That, to me, is very impressive because I actually know this problem, I know its complexity, I know how many things would need to be coordinated and managed securely. And not only was that complexity simplified for one chain, but using CCIP, it was simplified across chains. And so now that piece of Go code running in the Chainlink runtime environment simplifies this immensely complicated problem with the real types of messages for blockchains in anticipation of a state where you would actually be on production. From what I can tell, that's a really, really big step forward. And we've gotten a lot of interest from the SWIFT and the capital markets community about this flow and implementing it. But the really exciting thing for me is once they understand how efficient it will be for them to implement in the computational model that they are already used to. Because once again, our goal is to create a standard. And the goal is only achieved when people adopt the standard, and to adopt it, it needs to be simple and to provide a lot of value. The services, the cross-chain services, the data services, the identity services provide a lot of value. The hundreds of blockchains where there's more and more money for people to transact on provide a lot of value. The challenge is now to take all of that value and make it very simple to interact with and build applications around. So I'm very excited that we made all of this progress. A lot of it is thanks to our new chief architect, Uri, who will be up on stage in a few minutes to describe in more detail how the CRE works. The next key problem that we've clearly seen from the capital markets and the TradFi industry is privacy. If you don't create privacy for transactions, for a group of people and a group of transactions that are already built with privacy today, you're basically not going to do transactions. If there isn't privacy for all kinds of critical parts of the transaction, you will not get to the point of real global adoption by the capital markets community. This is why we've started to release tools and services like the Blockchain Privacy Manager, which is a tool to manage privacy across various chains by defining what information can and can't leave a chain. And then we ourselves have applied that tool to CCIP to create privacy for CCIP transactions, creating the first CCIP private transactions. These CCIP private transactions are very unique and valuable because they maintain a previously unreached level of privacy for an institutional transaction. And that new level of privacy makes that group very comfortable, or much more comfortable, in transmitting value in the blockchain format. You'll hear in a few minutes from Anurag, who's the product lead for digital assets at ANZ, a trillion asset under management bank, where he'll describe his own views as a consumer and user of these technologies, both of them. And I think you'll see that the ability to provide privacy is quite valuable. And just to be super clear, Anurag is a product leader in an institution with 1 trillion assets under management. 3 of these institutions add up to more than the total cryptocurrency industry. And there are thousands of these institutions. So what we're really looking at is making people like Anurag able to make financial applications that flow that value into our industry to the benefit of our industry's growth and success. That is the economic boom that us solving these problems and us creating these standards will successfully create. That is what we are doing here. And so I'm excited for you to hear Anurag's view and the value he sees in these technologies.
Right. I mean, drops mic. He literally said that is what we are doing here. There are thousands of institutions with billions upon trillions of dollars of assets under management, so on and so forth. Right. And I mean, it is so monumental what is happening. As you all heard the first individual, Robert, mention, now this is going to take years to unfold because traditional financial systems are still running on outdated COBOL infrastructure. However, Chainlink and at this presentation just proved to you guys, I know that this is a little bit of a complex video for individuals, especially that don't have patience and only like bullish moonboy hopium, but you need to really truly buckle down and understand how freaking monumental this is, people. If you're listening still, do you understand what I just showed you guys? I just showed you all physical proof that they are completely re-architecting the financial system, right? No bullish moonboy hopium or hype, just straight facts. Be patient, cross your fingers, take deep breaths, do your research, buckle down, don't get distracted in the short term and mess up this life-changing opportunity for wealth creation that we have never seen in our lifetimes. I mean, I don't even know what else to show people after that one. So I'm going to end it there. I wanted it to go on a little bit longer because there was more detailed information that he shared. But again, here, showing you guys the realest information at CYPRX that not a lot of people are paying attention to behind the scenes, because everybody on YouTube is always so fixated on triggering people's dopamine, giving them price predictions with Fibonacci's and all of these RSIs and indicators and retail, ways of analyzing the markets. All of that is going to be completely irrelevant in the near future when all of this TradFi money comes online, because who really knows what's about to happen? I mean, this market is going to explode to new heights that nobody can even fathom if they get this right. And they are getting it right. And they're creating solutions to a lot of the problems that traditional finance has had. And you can see it unfolding behind the scenes. It's going to take time. It is going to take due diligence on our part to do the research and buckle down and be patient and not emotional. But man, let me tell you what, just watching this was so motivational, and to be able to live through this and look back and tell our children and then our children's children that we were the pioneers and the individual investors that saw the opportunity in this massive, massive transformation of wealth. I cannot stress enough that now is the time to educate yourself further, to understand and educate yourself on DeFi, crypto, digital assets, artificial intelligence, with just this whole fourth industrial transformation in general. As always, many blessings to you guys. Be cognizant, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe if you enjoyed this presentation, and I will see you all in the next video breakdown.